Hi everybody and welcome to the Good Woo. So let's jump in on this issue. I am going to use the term 60 gigahertz to refer to what's in the title. I'm doing this because some videos are being censored and deleted, and I want to make sure that you, my fans, followers, and clients get this message. So we know that there is a big conversation going on around this issue now. There are some people who are saying that the virus, we're not even really dealing with the virus, we're dealing with symptomology based on this 60 gigahertz being rolled out. And there are then a lot of people saying that that's totally ridiculous and the people who are talking about it are crazy. So there are three red flags here. One is that we know there was a Senate hearing and to push the 60 gigahertz technology through, and Telecom admitted that there had been no research and testing, and even further went to say that there was no budget for that. And that, I guess, was acceptable because the people that we voted for voted this through without any testing. So the towers are going up as we speak. So the people we voted for voted it through, and we don't know what it does. This is a red flag to me. I'm not a political person, but when we don't know what something's going to do and we don't test and we do it anyway, that doesn't seem logical or rational. So red flag. Two, there are people who are talking about this and just even raising a question as to what do we know about it, and those people are being censored and on social media, and also the media seems to be attacking anyone who even wants to ask these questions or have this conversation. That's a red flag to me as well, because we have a right to talk and ask about anything we want to, especially if it has to do with our health, especially if we go back to this first thing, there's been no testing. And number three, the red flag is that every pandemic or epidemic has cofactors. And to really look rationally and logically at the entire issue, you have to also look at the cofactors. So we should be researching all cofactors. We should be leaving no stone unturned. And if possibly 60 gigahertz is a part of that, then we logically need to be looking at it and at least asking questions, or at least saying, hey, if there is no funding for research, let's get some funding together and research something that's being rolled out all across the globe. So something else that I thought was really interesting, back to this idea of epidemics and pandemics always having cofactors. When 3G and 4G were rolled out, we had SARS and the swine flu. So there is some correlation here. It's not to say that these aren't, that there weren't real viruses, but we know through, if you've watched these videos, like quantum physics has proven that everything is connected. Everything. And inevitably, that is why this aspect of cofactors is so important, because we have a future ahead of us and we want to be able to learn from the present moment and from the past so that certain things don't happen again. So that's my question when I say, why is this so crazy that we're asking about this? This is a new factor that came in around the same time that we started seeing an outbreak. The question is, what's the connection? Is there one or is there not? We're really not going to know until we've had testing that is unilaterally supported that can be proven. So in the meantime, what do we do? So I'm going to tell you a personal story. We really can't control now the fact that the people we voted for, at least I'm speaking of this as an American, the people we voted for have put 5G into place. There's no going back from that fact, right? So then you say, what can I control in this situation? Well, we can't control that. It's already done. Sure, if this proves to be very detrimental to the human organic system, then hopefully, measures will be taken to protect humanity. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't that detrimental. But I'd like to tell a story because I think this is an important part of radiation, but also the power of human adaptability. So if you guys remember Fukushima, this was around the time that I was doing press for John Carter. And I had to travel to Japan right after this happened. And slowly after, my thyroid issue escalated quite quickly. And if you know anything about radiation, it affects thyroid sort of first and foremost, it seems. So I went to many doctors. Nobody could really get to the bottom of it until I saw this naturopath who was able to make the correlation that, again, cofactors. It wasn't that the radiation necessarily caused my thyroid dysfunction. I had a sort of a genetic and energetic predisposition to thyroid problems. And I had spent most of my life running from trauma and running from speaking my truth. So all of those are factors. Then you add in the radiation, which is another cofactor, and it expanded the issue, right? The issue grew. It blossomed because another cofactor was put in that sped it up. So radiation, the problem with it, as being humans, it's a very short, high vibration, right? Radio waves are very long and slow on one end of the spectrum. And then you have, the higher levels of radiation are on the other side, very short and fast. By the way, 60 gigahertz, very short and fast. The body, everything's connected, right? So the energy is going to move through the body. But where it causes problems is where that high vibrational energy meets resistant in the body, where there is blockages, where there is toxicity, where, there is, and this is why I want you guys to watch the energetic body video, where there is trapped emotions, right? Where there is negative thinking, because if you watch that video, it's been proven emotions and thoughts are also energy, and they get held within the body's energetic field, which creates disorganization within the cells. And distortion within the cells. For me, when that radiation, I was exposed to it, my main problem was really pushed into the forefront and made even more acute. But what that made me do is completely overhaul my life. I cleaned up my diet, my bad habits, right? I was an incredibly anxious person, holding in all that trauma and pain. I had to stop taking anxiety medication. All the things I did to cope that were toxic were out the door. I had to face the music. I had to look at the trauma. I had to process it, digest it, transmute it. It changed who I was hanging out with. It changed what I watched, just everything. Everything changed because of the acceleration of my issue due to my exposure to radiation. So, is that bad or is that good? Well, when I look back at it, I'm quite grateful for it, because who knows how long that could have gone on, and I never would have faced the trauma of the past to heal it, to become whole again, to fall back in love with life. So this is what we have with this 60 gigahertz rolling out. The human body will adapt. We adapted to we've adapted to radio waves, right? We adapted to 3G. We adapted to 4G. We will adapt to the 60 gigahertz technology being rolled out if it is to stay, right? We will adapt to it. That's what the human does. From the beginning of time, that's what we're best at. Every circumstance, we adapt. The body adapts. It is an incredible piece of organic technology. That's what it's supposed to do. Where this is hard is that radiation, it can really hurt the weak, and not just, the person who is already sick, or the person who is old and doesn't have a defense system, can't keep up with this raising of the vibration. That's where this gets hard. And so the one thing that I could share, because this video was requested, would be clean up your diet. If you have pre-existing conditions, get to the bottom of what is the emotional and energetic bedrock of those issues. Face your pain, face your grief, face your anger, the grudges. Let them go. Heal thyself. When you go into bed at night and you're like, how much conflict is there in my life? Who do you have beef with? And heal it and forgive it. Ideally, you're going to bed at night being like, I'm free and I'm clear and I loved myself today because I acted with integrity. And then this also goes to, toxins that we ingest. If you're smoking, if you're drinking a ton, if, you're doing drugs, if you're eating like crap food, all of that is up for massive rejiggering when radiation exposure is present. So there's no getting away from the fact that 60 gigahertz is a form of radiation that we're now being exposed to. This technology and how it speeds up our technology can do incredible things for us as a species, as it globally connects us and proves the field of science and the medical fields and even, of course, my favorite, quantum physics. Everything as far as technology and learning and expanding really will benefit from 5G. The question is, how much are we sacrificing as far as the human body is concerned to have this upgraded system? And we have to have the conversation, because anytime there is surrender and sacrifice, it needs to be a collective agreement. Otherwise, right, when surrender and sacrifice is forced upon you, it creates resentment and incredible amounts of anger, and that stops any benefit from reaching its ultimate manifestation. So, right now, it is time to talk about the 60 gigahertz rollout. That is the point. Talk about it. Ask questions. Listen to all the commentary, all the comments. Listen to everybody's opinion. And then see where it sits in yourself. That's the most important message. That right now, it's being rolled out. Maybe that changes in a year, or maybe we realize that it's not so detrimental and this is with us forever. Whatever the case may be, empower yourself and educate yourself and clean out your diet, clean out your body, clean out your mind and your heart, so that these higher vibrational waves of energy, these short, fast waves, so they will move right through you. And dare I even say, upgrade your connection to source, upgrade your connection to your highest self, upgrade, of course, your technology. So if you enjoyed this message, please like, subscribe. If you are looking for help in letting go of the trauma of the past and the pain, or even changing up your diet and your daily rituals, please contact me. You can email me at info@thegoodwoo.org. There's a sliding scale on all sessions, or, DM me. If this is something that you feel you have people in your life who also have eyes to see and ears to hear, please send this to them so that this dialogue can be started, because there's nothing wrong with asking questions about something new that's entering all of our lives. And especially if there hasn't been testing done. We would be blind sheep if we weren't asking the question. And the answer doesn't have to be a bad one. That's the other thing. We don't want to vilify something because, jump on a bandwagon that you just because. Do the research for yourself. And I do think that there is an element of trust here, that the human adapts physically to the changes around them, but also adapts emotionally and spiritually. So if this is something that we do need to change, trust that we will all get the information we need to change it. And if it is something that will better us in the long run, and some sacrifices do need to be made, then we have trust that we'll be able to handle that step as well. Thank you so much for viewing.